Zero Authority is a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems. Thanks for supporting the community. Remember why you started.
We believe in this opportunity to work in Web3, and people coming in will be a massive shift.
There's a lot of opportunities that are not, they're lost, and their people's skills and their what they're really capable of doing is not able to be shined through right now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are. Welcome to Zero Authority. We are a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems on Bitcoin. And today we have another great conversation. We're going to talk to Apo and Shaf about their really cool creator tool for ordinals, and it's called Ordlify. I got it right this time. So Ordlify, I saw you guys talking on a live Twitter space. I think it was on Trevor's TO's Ordinal show. And when you guys had jumped on, and I started looking at your what you're building, what you already have in place for Ordlify, I thought this is exactly what people need on Bitcoin. I get a lot of questions from people in Bitcoin and Stacks about finding people who can help them build some artwork, or finding people who can do some development. And what I'm seeing right now is just kind of the Bitcoin renaissance is truly underway. And obviously ETH Denver just kicked off, and there's been a lot of great conversations. But the tool sets that I see continue to be created. Just this no code platforms where anyone can have their artwork or have the solutions that they need to create their own Ordinal collections, PFP collections, and scribe different artwork that they've been wanting to. I'm just blown away by what you guys created. So first, before we get into all the topics today and all the cool things that you're building, and you're also going to give us a live demo and just kind of show us what's on the platform. And before we jump into all those cool things, Shaf and Apo, how are you guys doing on this wonderful Friday?
We're doing great. It's actually, by the way, we're also in the future. It's Saturday already.
That's
Yeah.
We are from the future. We can tell you everything is good.
Everything's good on the other side, man. Everything's good on the other side.
Yeah. We're doing great actually. I think it's gonna be a cool weekend.
Yeah, so you guys are living in the future here on the other side of the world, and you guys kind of know what's going to happen in the next 12 hours, right? And if you're watching this and tuning in, please, our chats are open on Twitter, on YouTube. Please send your questions over to Shaf and Apo. We're going to have a really cool conversation today. So before we dive in, tell us how you came to learn about Bitcoin, and you even, obviously you've built this really cool platform, but you've also built it for Stacks too. You built something out for people who are in the Stacks community, but obviously Bitcoin first, Ordinals first, but there you do have something. So that is pretty cool that you mentioned.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, I think we can. I'll just tell from my side of things how I started. I mean, I've always been just playing around with Bitcoin and ETH and stuff, but seriously got into it, I think, in the shitcoin season, the BSC shitcoin season. And then from there onwards, of course, we've been just doing experiments, playing around. And when the whole NFT boom came around, we saw that there isn't really, again, there is like ways to generate PFP collections on NFT, but we wanted to create this idea. We started creating this thing to generate dynamic NFTs. So imagine it's a no-code tool where you can create an NFT, and as an artist, you can define when certain things happen. Let's say an event happened, or an artist decides that there is an update, the traits and the whole NFT changes. So we started working on it. We actually got it up and running. And we also got it up and running on Stacks. and on Ethereum. But right around the time when we got it up and running, Casey dropped Ordinals, and we were like, "This is it!"
Mhm.
Like, and we just
So
jumped
this
on it,
was
and
what, around 2020
it was last year February. Yeah.
last year?
Yeah, it was February. Yeah, I remember like when Casey dropped the Ordinals paper, and you know, I tell everyone this story, but it's like I was reading the paper over the weekend, and on a Sunday, I just called Shaf and I was like, man, we got to do something on Ordinals. And, you know, at that time, as Shaf mentioned, we were working on a dynamic NFT creation tool on Ethereum, right? And also we were looking at stacks as well. So that's how the stack story comes in. And as a test, I remember like we actually ended up creating SVG art that were dynamic, and I still believe it was like one of the first animated SVG artwork that animated based on time of the day. I don't know. I have to double check my claim, but I think it's one of the first animated ordinals out there based on the time of the day, and they would just have the sun rising up or the moon rising up depending on time of the day, and it will just say GM, you know. So that's how we got in, and ever since then we've been building different tools on ordinals. Like I would say, mostly experimenting. We weren't that we were not focusing entirely on inscribing a lot of products. I think at that point we're looking at how do we provide people inscription services, while we were sort of behind the scene playing around with what we can do with the ordinals, and that's how we got started. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one of the thing that we've always wanted to do was, I mean, lower the barriers for people just to use ordinals. And I remember in the early days, like, you had to mess around with Sparrow. It's just like almost impossible to do anything, right? And I know, like, when ordinals was a buzz back in like March or things, like I have all these people reach out, man, how do I inscribe this thing? How do I do this thing? Like some things that people could do super easily on Ethereum, but it's just extremely hard, right? So both of us just decided, like, we want to make it easy for anybody to create like meaningful ordinals, and then yeah, where we are here today now.
I always tell people too, I've been blown away with how Casey dropped the white paper for ordinals, and it just led to this whole Bitcoin renaissance, and it caught the world by storm. And I remember the first couple of Twitter spaces and conversations about ordinals, and I was like, NFT on Bitcoin. And I thought it was probably like, I didn't think it was going to be actual images on the Bitcoin network. I just thought, oh, maybe it's just some kind of, maybe it's some kind of way where there's going to be, I don't know, like it's going to be off chain with IPFS, and some indexers off chain, and you could link it and have like your CIDs, or just like point to the images. And the as time, a couple weeks later, you start to see the first collections coming out, and then the first couple of ordinal URLs, and it was like, holy shit, this is actually on Bitcoin. And then it was like, I don't know, will people really want NFTs on Bitcoin and ordinals? And then boom, the summer took off, and it was, it was just off to the races by that time. And then people were scrambling to get anything inscribed under 100K. Then, oh, I want to be under 200K, and oh, now it's going to be a million. I want to be under that million. I remember I had Bitcoin pizzas at the time, and I was like, I'm just going to do 25 of these. And it was under 100K, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do a whole collection. Probably shouldn't wait. I shouldn't spend any Bitcoin, because I don't even know if this thing is going to take off. Then, just like a rocket, just, by the time you get to the end of 23 and now into 24, like it's just the volumes have been insane. I've been so just surprised every time I read new news about the ordinal space.
Yeah, I think we were also like sort of like at arms race, when we started working on our that experimental collection that we were trying to do, the dynamic ordinals, and we were looking at that point was like 40,000 or 50,000. I think there were 40,000 inscriptions out there, and in 3 days or 3 or 4 days alone, it took over like I think 100K, and we were lucky enough to do 105,000. I would still say that it's somewhere there, but like the again, man, the numbers are crazy. I would say like with BRC20s coming along, I think
Yeah.
that also took storm. That was something else as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think one of the best thing about the whole ordinals is, I think, calling it ordinals. Had we called it Bitcoin NFTs, I feel like this would have gone very, very differently. It's like, yeah, okay, Ethereum NFTs kind of messed up, but and now Bitcoin NFTs.
That's a good
Yeah,
point. That's a good point. I think even just the name ordinals and is based on the number ordinal series, and it's even just it's kind of thought provoking because it's like what are ordinals? What is it like? How do you do that on Bitcoin? And so something else that I'm realizing too is in my own personal education, Bitcoin, when I started learning about Bitcoin, I started understanding macroeconomics, how the Federal Reserve works with inflation. And people will say, "Oh man, inflation's out of control." But Bitcoin taught me the worldwide the inflation targets, whatever they are, 2%, 3%, but regardless, in 10 years, in 50 years, in 100 years, your currency will get devalued no matter what. And that's the basis of our monetary system. And that's what Bitcoin taught me. And then on the other side of it, because I kind of go macro, Bitcoin taught me about Federal Reserve, how money works, how inflation and banking works. And then kind of on the other micro scale of it, what ordinals taught me is that you could truly have satoshis and track them. And it also taught me about UTXO. Like previously I'd heard about it, and I was, if you ever look at Glassnode, you'll look at unspit transactions, and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, but I really don't need to know about it. But now, like, now that I know that you could actually track one single satoshi, it makes sense why the whole monetary system could be built, and we could spend one satoshi or two satoshis for like things in our everyday lives. And now, like, I'm like getting the full Bitcoin picture for like the world macro economy. So that's just something in my own personal
Yeah.
education I've learned recently, which I've been blown away.
I also feel like on the bright side of things, when you do call not Bitcoin NFTs but ordinals, you kind of like start thinking about the whys and how, and you're kind of forced to get yourself educated as well, right? I like honestly like understanding more about UTXOs. I think no one has really thought about these things previously, and also like the rare sets as well. That's just a different ecosystem, like it's there, and some people have been collecting rare satoshis um, for last 5 6 years already, and that's incredible, right? So that means that people have already thought about these things, and now with ordinals, like more people are already interested in these different areas on Bitcoin. Yeah.
I never even thought there would be rare satoshis, or you could track the satoshis from Bitcoin Pizza Day. Like I I'm just like every time I learn something new about Bitcoin, I'm just totally fascinated by it.
yeah. I think there is. I mean, Bitcoin is the mother chain, right? literally the mother chain. So I think this part of the reason I think ordinals is also becomes interesting is it's not as easy and cheap to create. For example, an ETH collection, it would be so much cheaper and also easier in some points, right? But in case of an ordinal collection, it's expensive because you need to people need to spend their funds to inscribe either the collector or the artist. And the other thing is, I almost feel like people value it more because this is actually on Bitcoin chain, this thing that I'm doing. I know there are Maxis out there who see it very differently, but yeah, I mean, fuck them. Yeah.
I think so. I think so. So I've been like really fascinated with the platform that you guys have built. Ordifly is I just think it's beautiful the way you guys have created and the layout and the color scheme that is all really not well put together. So big kudos to that first of all, and the I see this future coming together even more because I've been around long enough to see the rise of cloud computing, early internet, and I wasn't old enough to see the .com bust, but you hear the stories about it, and we're just kind of going through that wave right now where a lot of the solutions, a lot of the tools are hard to use, but it's happening faster than I would have expected. Where a lot of the tools, it's almost like Web 2, and it just kind of the layouts are nice, the user experience is nice, the teams coming in, you kind of have some background from Web 2 where either you've had some experience with UX design or having front end experience or back end experience, and a lot of the tooling is getting to that Web 2 experience where I could just point and click and drag and drop and then click a couple buttons and then everything on the back end is handled. And I give you guys a lot of credit for that because the way you just done it together with the platform is beautiful, man.
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the main things that we were thinking about it is from a user perspective or an artist perspective, right? And there is always this blurred line between Web 2 and Web 3, and that's it's always the UI UX, and that's the only thing I feel like if you're a traditional Web 3 user, and okay, some of the tools may not be that as user friendly as possible, but like maybe you get something out of it. And I was literally making this joke last night with Shaf, right? Like Web3 apps are like government websites. You need to go in there. You want to step in, you want to do your thing and get out of there as soon as possible, and you don't want to think about it, right? You don't really leave a good memory or a good experience with the user. And people rarely talk about Web3 products, and that's why both of us we've been building products for last 10-15 years, and mostly on the Web 2 side, and then on the Web 3 side, we feel like there's a lot of opportunity there, even for Web 2 builders basically moving into this space. I think there's a lot of opportunities there, and that's where we focused entirely on the creator space, because the creative folks are always looking for a way to kind of like get in their artwork or any kind of things that they're building. Even if you think about music, art, they want to just be creators, and they just want to publish these content, right? And
Mhm.
and that's the reason why we also kind of like blurred the line here a bit, and make it as friendly as possible. The only thing you probably need to do is have a wallet now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I mean the government website. Yeah, right. I just want to add on a little bit to that because when you have to file your taxes, I know in US probably there are easier ways to do it, but in some parts of the world, you need to go through this government website to do it. If you don't do it, then you're in trouble, right?
Right.
I feel like a lot of Web3 stuff is like that. The experience is shit. a lot of times, and you have to do it. And so as a user, you're forced to learn and go through this pain and figure it out, right? So exactly like Apo said, what we've been focusing a lot of our time, and sometimes even spending quite a bit of time on these small, seemingly small things that people wouldn't even notice it, right? Just cohesively it comes together as a experience where it's just so easy to use that you don't even you don't like, as people, I mean, some of the users who have actually tried the studio are like, why wasn't there something like this before? Like, why didn't anybody build something like this before? It should have been done like this. Yeah, I think it's good experience is just so much overlooked in the space, I would say. Yeah.
It really is, and that's where I start to see people with backgrounds who have built solutions on Web2, or who've come from more of a traditional tech background, or even you've worked at a tech company, so whatever company you work for offers different products, right? And you're used to like at least having this iterative loop where you build a product, you get some user feedback, you build a product, keep getting the feedback, and then offer more solutions and paid services from that, right? And so I'm starting to see that. I mean, one of the things that just kind of blew me away with the way your tool works, and where I truly believe the world is going, and I just want to flash this on screen here, where it's just so easy to upload an image, drag and drop it, and then mint your collection, and if you're an artist, that's what you want. You just want to upload a couple of things. We have the Zero Authority and Trajan gig marketplace and social endorsement. We see a world where someone is a no code developer, and someone who's an artist, especially in the traditional Web2 sense. I'm an artist, and I would love to jump into ordinals, but I just don't know how. And there are the vast majority of the world still doesn't know how to use Bitcoin, Ethereum, stacks, right? When we're so used to this that we kind of think like, oh, well, this is kind of a pain point, but I kind of point and clicked around and read some docs, and then I finally learned how to do it. The majority of the world is not going to do that. That's why they call it the early adopters, because it truly is like people who are early and love the process and love that it's hard, and even when it's a pain in the ass, you still try for it. So, but as we keep onboarding the rest of the world into Bitcoin, and people, there's people I've worked with who have wanted to create different, just even NFT collections. Just using a wallet is hard, and they still want help with that. So I could see people on Zero Authority gig marketplace saying, I'm a no code developer for Ordlify, and I'll help you with your collections, and people will collaborate like that on chain. So I just see this world where there's like this really robust ecosystem of people collaborating together and helping each other and getting their projects out there. And then as people get more comfortable, they'll come directly to the platform, connect their wallet, and then have their layers ready, and then launch the next collection that they're working on.
Yeah, actually, very true. I think the collaboration part is going to be a massive thing in the coming months. I would say months. I wouldn't say years, because things move so fast, right? And I think so. The way we've actually built Studio is right now. It's almost like single player. Like you are an artist. You go in and you can do all of this cool shit, right? But the way I see it is like the next in the next upcoming versions and things, we've already built this in a way we can turn on multiplayer. So imagine that you're not an artist, you're not even somebody who knows Web3 marketing, but you want to create an ordinal collection. How do you do that, right? Currently, you'd have to go on Twitter and start DMing people. A lot of people ignore DMs unless you really know somebody.
Yeah.
And I would see a future where basically you come into this platform, you set up your collection, and then you could just easily just find somebody who can do the art on Zero Authority, who can do the marketing on 0 to 30, and the whole creation happens in here. And the way we also built this is like, there is of course quite a lot of things that we haven't enabled. So for example, if you open one of the trades, people can give feedback on that trade itself. Like there's a team of people working
That's
on it,
cool.
and then point and
It's
say,
almost like a collaboration tool. too.
exactly, right? So,
Right.
but the first version that we are releasing is, that's why I said single player, right?
Right.
The
Right.
multiplayer is coming, but yeah, it's very much built for that, because we, like both of us from our Web2 background, we build like successful products that have these kind of features. So yeah,
Probably a good time to drop some alpha and let people know that you can get early access, right?
yes, thank you. Actually, Ordlify Studio will be rolling to 100 selected artists on Monday 9 a.m. PST. That's like in 2 days, 3 days.
In 2 days. So yeah, that's coming fast, and
It is.
I would imagine there's going to be a rush here to be one of the first 100 that can use this platform today.
Yeah. We've been I wouldn't say spamming, but we've been like testing quite aggressively on testnet last 2 days, and like a lot of items on the ordinal testnets were from us. And like we've been holding on to the tool for, I would say, over a month, kind of like testing things out, playing around with the numbers. And even one of the interesting things that we did last week as well was like bringing down image sizes by 60 to 80%, meaning that using WebP compression. And we built a couple of cool behind the scene tools there. But it's kind of focusing on you do your art, and we'll take care of your images and also compress it, make sure that it's ready to be inscribed as well. So there's a lot that happens behind the scene as well.
Yeah. This probably be a good time to show just a little bit of some preview of the platform.
Yeah.
You guys were showing me earlier, and I was like, this would be awesome if we can show it on the live stream, just poke around here and just show people what they can do even today. That it's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. While Apo is actually loading it up, there is one more alpha. This is nobody has heard of this alpha. Right? This is literally like
All
fresh.
right, so you heard it here first.
Yes. When Studio launches on Monday, there won't be any platform fees. We are basically like waiving all the platform fees. Even when the users are inscribing things, we're not charging any platform. Yeah.
Hey, I never get to use those reactions.
Yeah.
So you're going to waive fees for the first 100?
No, I think
or for the first couple of transactions.
So even now, our inscription tool, we don't charge a fee. Right now, we only charge 1,500 sats, which is something like $0.50 or something like that, just to make sure that the additional network buffer is there for us to handle the traffic. So yeah, we're going all in. We just want people to launch collections, and I think that's our success basically. And
that's awesome.
Rather than having making it hard for the artists, we probably want to figure out how we can expand the horizon on Studio as well, because I think Studio is just the enabler, and I think there is more to it, right? And that's something that we will work towards next couple of months.
Yeah, and so Studio is exactly the creation part, right? But then what comes after, right? And there is still quite a bit of things cooking in the oven. Yeah. And another thing is, again, the first version of Studio is just like flat images PFP. But the way we built Studio is it can actually be enabled to do 3D art. It can also be enabled to do animated. So when I say this 3D and animated, it means it's literally a 3D object, and you're using recursive inscriptions as the separate traits, and the same for animations.
Yeah, imagine being able to build your own OCM style collections, right? And I think that's powerful because that opens up a different dimension basically. And for us, when we build the studio, we thought about that already, and even the other day we were just experimenting around, importing some 3D art and seeing how that works as well. And adding a new dimension means adding some more complexity, but at the same time, the way we build out previews, the rarity settings and all of that, it still remains to the core. And I think that's going to be quite interesting as well. Even when we talk to some of the folks from OCM, they were also like, a lot of people ask us about how to create OCM style collections, and they would love to help, but as much as they help, the other artists, is still a bit technical. You have to combine a bunch of HTML files, 3JS, and then also on top of that the 3D files as well. So there's a bit of complexity there, and the barrier to entry for 3D is even more harder than doing a general PFP collection as well.
Should I show them what we're talking about here? And
I thought maybe you can
let's
check. We're talking about something and people are like, yeah, I'm trying to imagine what you're talking about.
Yeah, I want to imagine it, but I'm not sure. So
Yes.
we're looking at Ordlify here, and this is the platform, and then you guys were talking about the studio and some of the things that you could do here. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. So this would be like what you would see as soon as you log into Ordlify Studio, and you would the first tab that's available is artwork, and artwork is where you manage your properties, just like any other PFP collection. You start with the properties, and then you can upload your properties, drag and drop. It's super simple. Just drag and drop 10 15 images, and then we'll just upload it. And you can start with the rarity as well. Let's say I feel like this image, this background should have a very very rare rarity, right? So I could even set a rarity of 0.5 and just save it there. So this is mostly on the trade management side. But on top of that, let's say you want to reuse a trade from another collection, right? You could actually just import or just drop a link here of available artwork, and you can just import them as well. And the way we use it, we entirely go full on recursion, and basically you can import different artworks as well. So I can just show you a demo.
For those who don't know what recursions are, could you just give the TLDR really quick on what they are?
So the recursion is a way of reutilizing existing data to build up new data, right? Like that's a way I could sum it up. Basically, you're looking at existing data that's available there and using them to stitch together and build another version of an item. So for example, if I want to import this image, right, I could actually do that. And this is an actual ordinal that's available out there. So that's more on the trade side, but we also like give you that additional option where you can adjust the rarity and all of that. And let's say, later on you want to add a new layer, maybe you want to just drag and drop, and you think that maybe like a certain property should be the first item, you could do that as well. Super easy. And the cool thing is we also have a built-in rules engine as well. So which means that end of the day, maybe I don't want certain items to be mixed together. So for example, if you have a trade of space background, I don't want to mix it with stars, right? Makes sense. You don't want to have stars and space. So you just add a rule and that's it. So in a way, we allow the artist to kind of like not think about these things, just go and create your rules. And this is the magical part, right? This is the magical part of the studio. So right now, I just showed you guys what are properties and what's inside a property is a trade, and then inside a trade you have the adjustability of, you can go or adjust your rarity and all of that. But also we have settings as well. So each project have its own settings where you can kind of name the project, the collection size you're creating as well, and the dimension as well. So we're setting 500 by 500 as a dimension here. So I'm gonna go to the magical point now, which is generating a preview. So this preview, I've generated it a couple of minutes ago before the call. And
by the way, the artwork is really good on this, man.
Thank you. This is gonna be, I think that's an alpha. Maybe we can talk about it in a bit, but yeah. So
are you guys gonna have an early collection for the first 1,000 users?
Sure, why not?
Maybe.
yeah.
Why not?
So really quick, when I was doing when I was trying to learn how to do NFT collections, there's a couple of different types of ways to learn it, and there's some code on GitHub that you can pull down, and then you go through the tutorials. What you just shown here with Ordlify, dude, this literally saves you hours and days and weeks.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. I just can't believe like how far this has come along now.
And this is the cooler part, right? Like if you were about to generate like a 10K collection, now this is 1,000 generated, right? So let's say I just clicked the generate preview. We just clicked it, and it takes roughly around 5-6. No, it's there. So we just generated 1,000 collection right away, and you can see the 1,000 items are here. And the cool part is, let me try and resize my window a bit. So the cool part is you can go and tone down the details as well. Let's say if I open token 901, right, I can see the rarity, like the trade percentages. Say forest is used in 10.4% of the items or the tokens. And the cool part is if I'm not happy with it, I can just change it just like that. And
that's awesome, man. That is awesome.
And right now the rarity is 324, right? So I could just update it and it will just show me the new rarity number just like that. So as an artist.
A quick question. So when Ordinals first started, there was no way to have rarity, right? And there was no way to do JSON files?
Yeah.
Is that all possible now and easy to handle?
Yes. Wow. So we're following the Ordinal documentation, which mentions about CBOR. So we use CBOR as a way to store the metadata, basically. So this is more on our platform side, but at the end, when you actually need to inscribe, we will get all of these data out, and you as an artist, you don't have to even think about it. That information goes.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just want to add, a little bit on the trade. So for example, the trade information you see here, right? Background neon, skin gold, and all that shit. As an artist, at the tail end of when you're finalizing your collection, we call it finalize. When you're finalizing your collection, there's literally one checkbox that says include my trade information in metadata. So when your ordinal goes out, all this information is already stored in the metadata. Yeah.
That's huge. That saves so much time. So much time.
Yeah. And I also think that right now the conversation about rarity on ordinals is not the conversation that's happening. And I think after our tool, that might become some interesting talk as well, because now, if I see that the overall rarity score is 3 or 5 here, and if I update it, you can instantly see the new rarity score, and then you can decide on how you want to adjust each and every token of yours as well. And the cool part is, like, let's say by mistake you ended up so this is an automatically generated preview, right? But by mistake you end up kind of building up another token that already exists. We'll show you that error as well to say that, hey, this token already exists. So you can we have added a couple of interesting UI elements like that as well. and there's more. So let's say right now it's 1,000 tokens, but let's say if there are 10,000 tokens, it's going to be tough for you to kind of filter things out. So we added a filter as well. So you could really go down and see what are the tokens that got generated with gradients, what are the tokens that got generated with different background colors as well. So it's super easy, and we've thought about like almost all the details where it would make it easier for an artist.
The
Yeah.
the performance of the site is amazing too, where you click a couple buttons and boom, it's right there. That's
Yeah.
really good. Really, really nice. Wow.
Yeah, and this is going to be available for folks on Monday, 2 days from now. So sign up, and sign up process is very easy. You just connect your wallet. There is 3 fields you need to fill. Are you working on Ordinal collection? Yes, no. What the hell is Ordinal? And then your email or Twitter. That's all.
Wow. Well, I can't imagine that your inbox will not be filled up by Monday.
Yeah, there is already quite a bit of artists that reach out to us like, when is this thing going live? My collection is, I'm planning to launch my collection on end of March or mid March.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really cool. So how are people, do they do the artwork themselves, or do they still need to, because a lot of people will ask me like, can someone help me do some artwork? And so like I try to help people as best as possible where I know people who can do some artwork. Still like a really niche skill set where not a lot of people can do artwork, not a lot of people can get it into the right formats.
Yeah, right now, of course, the artwork the artists have to do, but then
Right.
I think the like an integration or something like where we can help people find artists is definitely something that is on the horizon. And one thing that we've also been experimenting is like a lot of artists use Procreate. So imagine that you create your artwork and all your layers in Procreate, and dragging and dropping, like exporting all those layers and setting it up here. That is still a little bit extra work, right? So
Right.
but one thing we've experimented is like, you can just drag and drop your whole Procreate file, and everything like the layers, the properties get set up here automatically.
Oh, that's amazing.
So this is also coming to Studio, and of course we will be integrating, like creating other ways of getting things in here easily, like Figma. Like there's some artists who use Figma for creating their
Right.
artwork, and a Figma plugin is also on the horizon. Yeah.
And a lot of things are also about education as well, because
Yeah.
just dropping the tool is not going to be enough. I think there's going to be some level of education around it. We're definitely going to start looking at Figma templates, Procreate templates as well, like how you go about creating layers and things like that. Like at least it helps the artists on kind of like getting in on starting to create the artwork. And also you also have the import and existing inscription as a trade. So there is a starting point as well. Let's say you're not an artist, but you want to basically do a mashup of I don't know, ninjas and another thing, right? Like you can do mashups as well. And I think that's going to be an interesting use case as well. Hopefully we'll see some mashup collections from
Yeah,
our
imagine
studio.
you want to create like a collection based out of someone else's collection, just like a joke, right? You could do that, right? You don't have to recreate
Well,
those traits.
when you said that, I started to see kind of like some pizza, some ninja pizzas that were kind of like a mashup in it. It was pretty like there are some derivative artwork that I really like, and I think I can't wait to see what some people create with some derivative projects. I mean, like punks, like there's been so many derivatives of the punk series, and something where you could just use Ordlify to do that man, I think it would just, because you could just focus on the art now, right? You don't have to worry about, let me try to do the metadata and make sure I have the JSON files and let me like put the layers together. It's just, man, this makes it so easy. Like, yeah, that's awesome, man.
So I can also share, like, for example, this is a Bitcoin Frog, right? We love Bitcoin Frog, one of the earliest collections out there. So I can actually import this. So just import this inscription directly as a trade, and that's it, right? And you as a user, basically, you can actually see the imported ones as trades, and basically identify them as well. Here you go, right? Bitcoin Frog is there as a trade. And then from a layering mechanism, you can have the Bitcoin Frogs, and you could have like a Christmas theme, or you could have a holiday theme and build a different collection around it. So it's a really strong, it's a very interesting and a strong utility as well for the existing art that's already out there, because then you just import everything and build things around.
Yeah, and the other thing is actually, sorry, I just want to add one more thing here.
Go. I'm too excited, man.
All these traits that you see here at the tail end of the studio, we actually let artists inscribe those as individual inscriptions, and then create the final inscription using recursives. So imagine, as an artist, you actually want to have all your traits with you and in your wallet, and the piece that the collector buys is actually a recursion piece. So it's much smaller. The end is much. The end token is, I know I'm calling it token, but it's not a token. The end inscription is much smaller. And imagine that just now we just added the frogs, right? But the thing is, there's a background, there's already glasses, right? But if this was built using recursions, imagine you could actually just take the glasses and use it in your collection. Right. Yeah, that's possible.
That's amazing, man. What I was going to say is, and like I'm starting to think, because right now, there's a lot of talk about what Pudgy Penguins are doing, and I was even thinking with the Pizza Ninjas, what Tio has created, like the IP is going to be valuable in the future at some point, and owning the traits makes sense to me, where that becomes even more valuable, because it's like the original copies of this artwork, and even if someone does a derivative project and whatever it is, like Bitcoin Frogs, and they end up changing some of the artwork or doing different backgrounds, I could even see where someone does that, launches it and mints out, and then says, we're going to give 80% to Ordinal developers or something like that, because it was just so easy to create this with this tool, and now we have this way to just focus on doing art. So that to me, that's amazing, man.
Yeah. Actually, we have the saying, this is like, now people can focus on art, not code, right? Because as an artist like you, either you need to know how to code to create these kind of collections, especially recursive ones, right? There's literally no tool out there, and all the people who've done recursive collections, like recursive traits-based collections, is just hiring a developer, spending a bunch of money and hours doing it. So we're just making it accessible for everyone. So you don't even need to know jack about recursions, and you can still build like really powerful collections. Yeah.
Talking about recursions, right? Like, I just want to share about our recursion tool, and we go long back on this, and I think we are still one of the only platforms that can do large inscriptions using recursions. For example, last year we actually inscribed the Odd Curve. This is of course, an AI generated art Shaf created, and basically we inscribed how many layers was it, Shaf?
Yeah, there was actually, so the image itself was, I think, if my memory is correct, it's like 10,000 pixels or something. It's like a massive image, right? The problem with Bitcoin is there is a limitation on the block size,
right?
And we know it's like, even though it's like 4 megabytes, the thing is, a lot of the miners basically reject anything that is bigger than maybe 350, 400 kilobytes, right? So what we are doing is, imagine you have a 25 megabyte image. So this image that the inscription that Apo is showing is, it's a 25 image artwork, and what is a massive artwork. So what we did is drag and drop here, and you can define how many slices you want to slice it to. So
Yeah.
we sliced it to 100 pieces. You can just select the grid, and once you click next, it just basically helps you inscribe the whole thing, so into 100 separate inscriptions. And then in the end, using recursions, we help you put it back together as a single inscription that basically refers to these 100 inscriptions, and it has the full resolution of the image that you're trying to upload. So
Yeah.
imagine this is a way to get a 25 megabyte. Yeah, this one here, Apo, maybe you can just right click and
Yeah. So this is the image that we actually inscribed back in July. So this was like when we were actually experimenting things, and this has, like, you can see all the images that are available here. It's using recursions, and the cool thing is, like, we also open source the whole thing as well, like how you the building mechanism as well. The JavaScript file of this is actually open source. Anyone can actually reuse this and start building it as well. And the cool part is, so this is an image that has around 50 items stitched back together, right? But you, as a viewer or an observer, you just right click and save the image, and basically this is one whole image. So I can actually show you the odd girl. We call this the odd girl. So this is the actual high resolution picture image that was uploaded on.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though it's in 100 pieces, you don't even know that it's in 100 pieces, right? So this is basically using this technique. You can upload, well, you're not even limited by the size of the block, like the block size anymore. You can basically create anything. And imagine, as an artist, I don't want to create a collection. I just want to create one masterpiece, like one piece. And basically launch this so that my collectors can collect 1,000 separate pieces, 1,000 slices of this, almost like fractions of this, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So more on deep diving into this, like, we ended up actually building our own shadow canvas, so kind of like a shadow dome, and we actually inscribed the JavaScript as well. So, like, if anyone wants to kind of, like, reuse the mechanism that we use, they just have to import, using recursion again, import the JavaScript basically, and you can just use the recursive image component, which is a shadow dome component that we built, and basically pass the information, right? What kind of grid is it? What are the inscriptions inside it? And that's it. And the tool can actually build it, and that's how you get the crisp quality image out back together, everything stitched back together as well.
Yeah, there are some artists who have actually done this manually, like, because these artists know how to code, or they know somebody how to code, right? And one of the things is, even in their experiments, so if you try to right click and save, it will actually save the individual tiles. Yeah. So in a way, we're making it people to right click and save. I just realized.
Man, I'm just blown away with the resolution of the pictures now, because I didn't even realize with recursions you can have these high res images and split them across several multiple hundred blocks, and then
I think we are the only tool out there. I believe I haven't seen anything else yet, where you just drag and drop and basically adjust your grid and just go and inscribe. That's it. And then we also not just inscribe it, but we also help the users to inscribe the first 100 pieces or whatever the pieces that they have to inscribe. And then there is just a nice journey where you wait for all those pieces to get inscribed, and then you can go and inscribe the final piece, which is the one that stitches everything back together. So it's just a very easy, simple journey. But the thing is, recursive images are expensive as well. So we see, like, artists, that are actually using this. We have seen artists that have been doing recursive based large size inscriptions. Like we always see like maybe like 3-4 a week at least, because it's expensive as well at the same time. And people are actually doing this. And I don't know, like Shaf.
Yeah, I think so the thing is, another thing is, I don't know, Apo, if you have the video on Twitter, the one that where, like, when you're inscribing, let's say 100 pieces, that's a lot of inscriptions, right? So
Yeah.
we created this beautiful UI. You can literally see the tiles being filled as they
Oh,
get
there's the
inscribed.
one.
Yeah, it's this one. Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow.
There it is. So you
That's
can actually
really cool.
see it when it's broadcasted, when it's confirmed on the network. So it's very, like, again, like somebody who does not know anything about recursions and things, they can still see that, okay, I'm just waiting for this inscription to start. It's broadcast, it's confirmed on the network. Yeah.
So if you created this high resolution recursive image, but is the only way to see it through Ordlify?
No. Actually, you can see it on anywhere. Like if you open, I think you can even go to ordinals.com here.
So how
This is
do they
on
kind of stitch it together? How does that work?
So, so on Ordinals, Ordinals API, actually the first recursion endpoint that came out supports a way to fetch the content basically. So if you have any kind of ordinal indexer like ord.io or the ordinals.com itself, they all have an endpoint where you can fetch additional items, and that's how we fetch all the items and stitch it back together basically.
Okay. Wow, man, this is insane. It's fucking good, man.
Yeah, and the thing is actually how we, I mean, got this idea to, I mean, to use this technique is Billy Resti. He created, I think it's called BitBlocks. Yeah, he created this thing like BitBlocks. It was like a massive image, and he spent like a couple $1,000 inscribing all of it. And he was basically talking about it on Twitter, like, how he actually did it. And it's amazing. I mean, it's an amazing piece of artwork. But then we actually look at it, we're like, hey, you know what? What if this is available for everybody to do, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've been talking to Billy, and he like gave us suggestions on how we can improve this. So yeah, and one more alpha. In the next version of large image recursions, the cost is going to be even lower. Like we've actually figured out the compression.
Wow.
Just to dial down the compression ever so slightly more, so the cost will be even lower.
Wow.
Yeah. And also we'll be dropping the version 2 of the open source JavaScript tool as well. So at least anyone can basically, if you want to build it yourself, or maybe like you want to stitch together other existing ordinals as well, sure, you could do that technically. And there's going to be a few changes coming. I think definitely after the studio drop, we're going to work on the version 2 of this. And yeah, that's going to be super cool.
Well, this is awesome, guys. I man, what you guys have built, I just thought, okay, well, it's an ordinal tool, and obviously it makes it easy, but then all the other things now that I'm just kind of learning that you have, and then I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch this, and we're going to cut the alpha drops on here. So this one specifically, if you do a recursion, could you see it getting filled up? Is there a way you could see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the experience we built in, right? So you could actually literally see if there are 100 items there, you can see whether they are broadcasted and whether they are also inscribed as well. So we do two checks for you. Broadcasting is when we send it out to the network saying that, can you help us inscribe, or can you move this transaction? And confirmed is when one block passes. So once the confirmation happens only, then you can move on to inscribe the final artwork. The last file is the cheapest file, by the way. It costs you probably like $8, $10, depending on the VByte. But that's the file where you stitch all of these items back together using the open source JavaScript tool that I mentioned, and that basically makes the magic. Yeah.
before you run it, do you kind of estimate how much the fees are going to be?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, Apo, I sent you a video in the DM. It's literally how it works, right? This is exactly a screen capture of how we inscribed the Ord girl.
Oh, this is the live version, actually.
Yeah, this is
the
it. You can see we spent. I think I even dialed down to $575. So it's like
Oh, that was
$575
when V bytes were at six V bytes.
Yeah, we could actually do it in 6 VB. Yeah, you can see here.
Yeah, how long ago was that? What, a couple years now?
No. This is actually June. Well, June, July last year.
Yeah. Well, how much are V bytes now?
I think it's 30 or something like that. Let me just check. So another thing is,
I don't think they're cheap.
Yeah, another thing that we will also be releasing is, I know that V bytes, like high V bytes and all this, it's difficult for artists, right? So we want to make sure that we create tools around help people with that. So there will be some tools coming that help people even save further. Yeah. Right now, VByte is fucking hell, 78.
Yeah, that shit is expensive.
Yeah.
What's go ahead. Go ahead, Apple.
Yeah, so I think like one of the last tools, so like from what we have been building is like different unique tools for artists, and one of the last tools that I want to share is Pixels.
Yes.
When we build the Pixel tool, we were thinking it from a perspective where how can we create a simple tool where artists can come and just draw, and also make it verifiable as well. So in a way that you can actually verify that this is an artwork that can be inscribed as well. So how we do that is basically we create some hashing magic behind the scene, check whether an existing artwork exists or not, and then basically allow you to inscribe before that. So this was a tool we launched, I think back in June, July as well, or maybe August.
Yeah, it was. I think it was around August, and the whole thing is, even though it's a pixel art, here's a kicker: it's a pixel art, but it is actually not pixels; it's a vector. I mean, it's not a bitmap art; it's actually SVG file. So it's like you create something here is infinitely, like, you can scale it up; it won't be pixelated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Do you think is this live now? Can people use
the large image recursions tool and pixels, this is live already. You can just go to ordlify.com/pixels or ordlify.com/recursions, right? Is that the URL? Yeah, recursive/image, because the reason it's recursive/image is because we've done some experiments on inscribing audio files and video files using recursives. Yeah. So we never actually built it into a tool and released it yet, because the VByte size is just massively expensive, right? So imagine inscribing a video of 1 megabyte. Yeah.
Yeah, you better break your piggy bank on that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also like back in the day we were also like thinking about at that point there were not even debate about how should metadata exist on Ordinal as well. So back then we also I'm trying to find the link for the paper as well. We also helped contribute one of the open source paper about OIPs are not relevant anymore, but back then there were no metadata rules where someone can define a way of doing metadata as well. So during that time we did some metadata around it as well, and also we managed to kind of like document the whole process. When if you want to do audio as well, you could technically do that. And some of our friends actually took the idea and built something around it as well a few months back.
Yeah, OIP is like it's like BIP, right? Bitcoin improvement proposals and OIP. But I think some of those things, like, I mean, of course, Casey has his own way of doing things. So I think the metadata formats that is there right now is just so much better. And so we're following, like right now, even if you go to Ordlify and you try to inscribe anything like a file, you can add metadata. Like you could literally just drag and drop a file, any file. And yeah, Apo is showing already. You can just drag and drop.
How does that metadata get saved now?
It gets saved along with yeah, there it is, just metadata, and you can literally add any property and value, like
Okay.
yeah. So this is like manually keying in these things, right? So what we've done in Studio is all this process is automated for all your trades that is actually mixed together. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so those are our tool sets. Yeah, but I think our favorite would be Studio. Like like we've been building on that. We've been building Studio for last 3 months, to be honest. Since last year, we've been like November. We started working, really getting into the details of it, working on building different components around it. I think, and since December, January, we've been like kind of ironing out the features and looking at different journeys as well, how the user experience would be for artists. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
think
and
Studio
yeah,
is
exactly.
going to
And
be.
actually, we were going to drop Studio last week, and we decided to push it to this week because there was like some of the features, like artists wanted like some of things like flattening images and things. So we wanted to do just slightly more work on it before we drop it. So right after the Studio drop, we'll be releasing like follow up versions where there will be like more added features like flattening of image. For example, using recursives is one thing because an artist is inscribing these traits himself. But as an artist, what if they don't want to spend anything? They can still create a collection and just flatten all the traits into a single image. And yeah, this is Apple is actually what
Yeah.
Apple is doing is basically.
So just want to show a bit because we're working on this right now. But let's say you are ready to launch your collection. All you need to do is pick a preview. So I have 3 versions here. I can pick the version that I want to finalize. And once I select that, I can just select enable recursive. So what we're working on is flattening the images. So right now everything is on testnet. So
That's why
it's
it's
super
cheap.
easy. Yeah, that's why it's cheap. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that cost is right.
62 files,
times it
$147.
times 10 or 20.
yeah, it should be more. And the experience is quite straightforward, right? So right now, like
if you just put in 76 sats VB, what does that look like?
VBytes, yeah, 76.
because this is on testnet, like the maximum
I
and
know.
minimum.
I just wanted to see.
Yeah. I think it goes around $2,000. Like I did
Okay,
a tweet.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
in the grand scheme is still cheap if you think about
Still
it,
cheap.
because
Yeah.
imagine in 10 years what that's going to be.
Yeah, I was even thinking like, I feel like there is going to be a new market coming up for trades. Imagine people are buying these finished pieces, right? But what if the trades individually are also things that people can buy? Because right now, I know when artists create these collections using cursives, they are basically holding on to the trades. The trades are with them, right? They're not selling these trades. What if, like, further down the line, I want to buy just this super cool hat on Ninja, and I just want to buy that. I don't need the whole thing. I just need that trade, and the trades have even a higher value because maybe the trades are used in all these other pieces. So yeah, I feel like there's going to be another market for that.
So I'm just inscribing the trades while you guys are speaking. So basically, it's super easy. You just start inscribing the trades. Of course, there's like 2 more steps that are pending that's not visible here, but the other two steps would be for user to select about inscribing trades, whether they want to inscribe the trades, and the last option would be finally how you want to launch your collection, right? So as you can see, we've already broadcasted 2 and there's 60 pending, and the process is just seamless for users basically.
Right,
testing
right.
is fast today, man.
Yeah, it's fast. It will get slow at 25 because 25 is the maximum, and then it will slow down for a bit, and then you can go. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you two things. So I know so they in Stacks they called it Sortinals, but it's really not actual ordinals on Stacks. What it was is just that the STX20 token. But do you imagine there would be a way to do ordinals on a Bitcoin layer 2 and do it for cheap?
Yes, right. Actually, one thing that I mean, when we built this tool is, I know we are starting with Bitcoin, we love Bitcoin, but the idea is this tool is built for all on-chain art, UTXO. When I say on-chain art, like NFTs are not on-chain art. They're a pointer to something that is off-chain. So all UTXO chains, right? And we will be supporting that. So for example, inscriptions on Ethereum, inscriptions on Stacks, Solana, like these are things that will be coming. But again, like, right now our focus is of course Bitcoin, because we love Bitcoin.
Can you do inscriptions on Ethereum today?
I think there were some experiments
I
done.
saw something about it, but I wasn't sure if it was.
Yeah, it never caught up, but still, it's like the idea of like, it's fully on-chain art, right? Yeah.
Right. So you do imagine, and it could happen on Stacks, on maybe BitVM or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think layer 2s are inevitable because for when the bull run starts, right, we're just around the corner. I think layer 2s is where all the folks are going to go. It's going to be the Polygon of Bitcoin, or I wouldn't say Ethereum, Polygon of Bitcoin for sure, right? So definitely, I think L2s are going to be a focus point. We've seen like even Dogecoin has UTXO support as well, right? So it's basically there has been some inscriptions on Doge as well, and on Bells as well. So these are the 3 things I've seen so far that can, like from an integration perspective, you can just go right in and just allow the user to connect their wallet and do their thing basically.
Yeah, actually, the way like we build the tool is there is the creation of your art, and then the inscription is basically a separate layer. So the day we want to plug in other inscriptions, like other networks, is just we just need to add in those and of course build those inscription modules. But it's very much we want to provide these options to artists, right? Like further down the line, it's not like you have to inscribe everything in Bitcoin. If you don't want to inscribe in Bitcoin, you have the option to inscribe elsewhere, but using the same tools.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the platform Ordlify.
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 Yeah,
Ordlify.
it is a tongue twister,
Ordlify. I even imagine in the future at some point, like where there's multiple inscriptions on Stacks, on Bitcoin, on Solana, like being able to see it in one place is going to be super valuable, because at some point in the future, you won't care what chain you use. You just want to get your art on chain so it could be immutable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think like, sorry, I was going to say, yeah, there is like the value of like an art on Bitcoin, of course, is higher. But then, what if somebody wants to create something that is like slightly cheaper? The option should be there, because to create a collection on Bitcoin today is expensive.
Right.
Very expensive. Yeah. Sorry.
But I think more on what you mentioned as well, right? Like trades can be an ordinal, and then you can start creating your Ethereum collections as well. Sure, why not, right? And I think that's going to be a quite interesting angle moving forward as well. So you have the power of ownership of the trades.
Start over. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
That
your trades on Bitcoin, but your pieces are on Ethereum. Why not?
Why not?
No. I'm not saying that would never happen. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah,
Are
so
people
this
even
is,
talking about this? Like, I could have my
I think there
because
are,
if you think about it, the traits at some point in the future, like your intellectual property will be really valuable for some of these collections, and you could have your traits as ordinals
yeah,
and then launch your. Has anyone done that? Like, you
not
No.
launch
yet.
all your traits on Bitcoin and then
And
launch it on Ethereum, Solana stacks?
not yet. And the cool thing is gonna be that from our platform, everything I've demoed you so far, you just do as it is. And when you reach the point where you're about to inscribe your trades, you own the trades, and after that you can decide where you want to launch. Is it going to be Ethereum? Is it going to be an ordinal collection? Or is it going to be on Solana? It's up to you. Like, and that's the kind of like the mixed future I see. I think that a lot of people are going to start talking from that angle for sure, starting from bull run.
A bull run is here already. You know, the prices today is already 63.
62, man, 62.
I was hoping it's going to go up to 70, but yeah.
Damn. I never even thought about this. I never thought about like you can inscribe your traits and then I'm like even thinking like I know there's artists out there who would inscribe it on Bitcoin and then launch like 3 different derivative traits or collections on Stacks, Solana, and Ethereum, and even on Bitcoin, right? So you launch your collections. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a future because Bitcoin is going to become more and more expensive even. It's not going to get any cheaper in terms of network fees because we have runes coming up in around April. So imagine when runes comes in, there's going to be another massive influx of people doing all kinds of stuff with runes. So it's just going to get even busier. And I'm sure these things are going to come like, where people look at like, what are the other ways that I can create these collections, but still have it tied to Bitcoin network, right? And
Now,
what better way
are
to do it?
runes they're going to be a better version of BRC20, right?
Yeah, well, it's a token standard, yeah.
Token standard. So you could do like, can you do ordinals with runes, ordinals type, or is it like
I,
inscription?
I believe, yeah, I think Casey mentioned in one of his podcasts that you can actually. So it's like runes is just another output on the transaction basically, and you can actually do both at the same time.
Okay, yeah, because I was on the space with Leonidas, and I still don't quite understand exactly what it is and what you can do.
There is a lot of confusion about it, a bit of confusion because even it took us like some time to grasp what is happening around the community as well. But like there's different efforts where I think what Leonardis is trying to do is airdrop everyone a rune token basically, and there are other collections where when you hold their collection you kind of get certain rune allocation per block wise. So that is also a strategy people are doing as well, and using the rune name, man, people are just stamping it around everywhere. That's how I feel at the moment. And
I also feel like there is just straight up rugs even around. Like people just call it runes, and everybody jumps in and is like, yeah. But I think the whole idea of like the two connections is going to be a very interesting play. Where, for example, the token and the ordinals, these are like the inscriptions, they are connected, right? There's going to be some interesting plays.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm bullish on BRC20, on runes, on ordinals. I know runes is a big deal because you have like some big names behind it, and I think because they're just giga brains and they're like, what's next? What's coming next? And this runes idea, for them to dedicate so much time, it has to be something worthwhile. I just have to believe that this is going to be important.
Yeah, I feel like when runes come out and when people really get hang of it, again, this is just my feeling. I feel like we would have just another like shitcoin season on Bitcoin. Like imagine that. Like there will be just like Bitcoin where everything will fly. Well, when Bitcoin flies, everything flies, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Well, this has been awesome, guys. I'm just blown away by what you've created and what the platform can do today. And obviously, you guys are going to open up the studio for the first 100 on Monday. At what
yeah,
time will that be?
9 a.m. PST.
9 a.m. PST, 12 p.m. EST. That's going to be amazing. And then is the best place to get a hold of you on Twitter?
Yes. You can
Okay.
just hit us up on Twitter, and yeah, thanks for having us, man. I think it's been fun just talking about all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's like it's good
Yeah,
to
well,
talk
glad
to
you guys
people, right?
accepted my invite from some crazy guy named Zero on Twitter.
Yeah, I was like, okay, who's DMing? Because there's quite a bit of people DMing about things. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. Let me check it out, right? Yeah, I'm glad I accepted that, right? Yeah, thank.
And like me and Shaf, we were like jamming a bit late last night as well. We were like, yeah, hey man, yeah, tomorrow we got the zero call, so let's call it a night.
Yeah, and little did you know, there's nothing you actually have to prepare for because it was just going to be a total vibe sesh.
Yeah, I like these kind of sessions. Like we just like riffing, right? It's just like we don't have to prepare anything. But yeah, we were like jamming until like one last night. I was like, dude, we gotta wake up at like 5:30 tomorrow. Let's just
Gosh, yeah,
Yeah,
and then it's the weekend, like.
yeah,
oh,
it's
it's
the
weekend,
weekend too,
yeah.
and you're like, I finally get to sleep in, but nope, fuck no, I got this
Yeah.
early fucking call with this random guy.
No, but
No,
it's
I
so
think
good, man. This is amazing, and thank you.
I
Yeah,
think
well,
what
I'm super excited to do a couple clips from this, and when you guys launch on Monday, I'll be looking for those tweets to come out, and I can't wait to see what people start creating with the tool. It's just really, really, really great. So thanks for the time today, guys. Thanks for vibing on a Friday, Saturday here.
thank you so much for having us as well. And I think definitely your tool. I think it's great. I think it's gonna empower the ordinal community as well. Like right now, having such a tool, I think, and also like potential integration with us, right? I think that's way
Yeah,
more powerful than
yeah.
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, when people start doing their collections, or even if they we're going to make it easy for different people to say that I have knowledge of this solution or this tool, and when they can say that they have knowledge of it, and they'll build collections for people. And we have some APIs coming out later too, where we'll have some close partnerships with you guys and some other people in the ecosystem. I think, and then obviously we want to do native Bitcoin payments too, and any of our partners who we say we're partners, we're going to share the protocol fees. So I think it's just all coming together as Lego blocks, and it's just really cool to see that.
Yeah, then thanks. That's amazing. I just want to see a world where I can create a collection, and I don't have a lot of reach, and to be able to market that, not pay random people on Twitter who buy followers
Hmm.
and like counts, and then it doesn't get me jack shit. So I feel like to have a place like 030 where there's verified people who can actually market for me for a fee or whatever, right? And yeah, I think an integration would be super powerful. Yeah, definitely.
You know, that's one of the reasons too we wanted to find people who we know and who have BNS names or ETH names, because in the past I've went on Fiverr, and people don't give a shit. They're just like, yeah, I'll create whatever you want, and they're not Web3 natives. They don't really understand the lingo. They don't understand the significance of what you're trying to do. And so having a place where you can see someone, I could see your on-chain activity. I know that you do things in Web3, and specifically on a certain chain. That is, in a trustless world, that's as good as it gets for trust.
Yeah,
So
very
I'm
much.
excited to see the future of how these things are going to come together. I'm super bullish on these new collections that are going to be coming out here too, man. And man, it's just amazing to see how much you guys have put into this. Lots of late, not like me and my co-founder Huddle Stacks. I mean, I was just calling him last night to get some updates shipped. So I know what you guys go through and building all this infrastructure. I mean, all of those little details where you're just spending hours on saying, how should this button look when someone does this? And then this is how it works on the back end, right? Because none of that shit is built out. Like we have to build the infrastructure. And, you just spend so many hours and people just don't understand like this is a grind and what we're doing is going to lead to a better future. So I just really commend what you guys have been doing, building this behind the scenes.
Yeah, thank you. We're just getting started. Yeah, we are early and getting just started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a good one, and we're going to talk to you guys. I'm sure probably in the summertime when everything is launched and the bull run is well underway.
Yeah, bull run is going to be underway in 2 weeks. So yeah, yeah. Let's catch up and let's catch up, and we can figure something out. Once studio drops, we'll also be a bit more freer. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys probably will be more rested too.
No, I mean we
Yeah.
have other things that we want to, of course, like get it out the door. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. You guys have a good one and have a nice day.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Zero Authority is a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems. Thanks for supporting the community. Remember why you started.